This book is titled The Berenstain Bears Learn About Strangers, and it's by Stan and Jan Berenstain. And you can tell from the state of this book, I've had this one for a very long time. It's a really good book to teach boys and girls about stranger danger. And the little rhyme at the beginning of the book says, "Caution, bear country is safe when every small cub there learns some special lessons from Ma and Papa Bear." Brother and Sister Bear, who live with their mama and their papa in the tree house down a sunny dirt road deep in bear country, looked quite a lot alike. Except for the fact that brother was a boy cub and sister was a girl cub. They were alike in many ways. And even though they all each had their own hobbies, brother loved to build and fly model airplanes, and sister had all sorts of special interests like painting, they enjoyed many of the same things: bike riding, baseball, soccer, frisbee, and just getting out and enjoying nature. Yes, brother and sister were alike in many ways, but in some important ways, they were quite different. Brother Bear was cautious and careful, and a little wary of strangers, while Sister Bear, on the other hand, wasn't the least bit wary. In fact, you could say she was friendly to a fault. Just about everybody that came her way got a big hello from Sister Bear. "Hello, Butterfly. Hello, Frog. Hello, Mr. Truck Driver. Hello, Mrs. Shopper." Look at Brother's face. He's not sure this is such a good idea. Brother worried about Sister's free and easy way with strangers because strangers weren't a problem for him. Not talking to strangers suited cautious and careful Brother Bear just fine. But friendly to a fault Sister was different. She talked to everybody. "Hello, hi there, hello, how are you?" "Sister," said Brother, "you're going to have to stop that." "Stop what?" she asked. "Talking to strangers. It's just not a good idea, you know." "Why?" she wanted to know. "Why shouldn't I talk to strangers? What harm is there in it? Is there something wrong with a stranger?" Said Brother, thinking about it for a moment. "Those aren't questions for a brother. Those are for Mama or Papa Bear to answer." "Sister Bear, I'm glad you asked those questions," said Papa Bear in his deepest and most serious voice. "The reason you should never talk to strangers, and never ever take presents from a stranger, and never ever ever go anywhere with the stranger, is that it's, well, dangerous." "But what's dangerous about it, Papa?" she asked wide-eyed. "What can happen?" "Oh dear," thought Mama Bear, "I do hope Papa can tell Sister about strangers without making everything seem scary." "Why, all sorts of things," Papa said. "Here, look at the newspaper." And as Sister Bear looked at it, her eyes got wider and wider. "Strangers bothers cub. Missing cub found. Chief Grizzly questions stranger. Cub safety meeting." "I hope you're paying attention to all this," called Papa to Brother Bear. "Yes, Papa," said Brother, looking up from his airplanes. When Sister asked for a bedtime story that evening, Papa said, "Of course, I have just the one." It was an old book that Papa had kept since he was a little cub. The story was called Silly Goose and Wily Fox. And it told the story of how Silly Goose got into a conversation with Wily Fox. And before Silly knew what was happening, she found herself in Wily's lair. This is how the story ended. And then there was a snip and a snap, and that was all there was left of Silly Goose, was a few floating feathers and a big smile on the face of Wily Fox. That night, Sister Bear had a hard time falling asleep. Do you ever have a hard time falling asleep because you're worrying about things, boys and girls? Her mind was filled with those headlines from the newspaper. There was even one that said, "Silly Goose missing. Wily Fox questioned." The sound of Brother Bear's peaceful breathing finally lulled Sister Bear off to sleep. The next day dawned bright and friendly, but suddenly to everybody but Sister. She had spent the restless night, and when she looked out the window, everything seemed, well, a little strange. The trees seemed to reach for her. An owl stared at her, and the crows glared back at her. "Let's go out and ride our bikes on the village green," said Brother after breakfast. But Sister didn't want to. Brother was puzzled. The green was a bright, busy place where she always loved to play. "Okay, well then how about some soccer?" But Sister didn't want to do that either. It wasn't until Brother Bear suggested Frisbee, Sister's absolute favorite game, that she agreed to go along. Before they left, they told Mama where they'd be. It was a family rule that they never went anywhere without telling Mama or Papa first. "That's fine," said Mama. "I'm on my way to Farmer Ben's for apples. I'll stop by for you on the way home." The village green was the same bustling place, that they had always visited. This is what it looked like to everyone but Sister. Everyone happy, smiling, even the animals. And this is what it looked like to Sister. Today, even the frogs and butterflies looked mean and scary to Sister. Later, when someone tapped her on the shoulder, she jumped a mile, yikes, even though it was just Mama. "How was everything at the village green?" asked Mama on the way home in the car. Sister sat in front with Mama, and Brother rode in the back with the barrel of apples. "All right, I guess," said Sister. "But there were so many strangers." Later at home, when Mama and Sister were getting ready to make applesauce, Mama said, "You know what Papa told you was quite right. It's not a good idea to talk to strangers or ever accept presents or rides from them. But," she continued, "that doesn't mean that all strangers are bad. Why, chances are there wasn't a single person on that green today that would ever harm a fly, much less a fine little cub like yourself. The trouble is, well, it's like this barrel of apples we got. You know, there's an old saying that goes, there'll always be a couple of bad apples in every barrel. That's the way it is with strangers. Cubs have to be careful because of a few bad apples." "Look," said Sister, "I found one. It's all bumpy and has a funny shape." "Well, it certainly is strange looking," said Mama, "but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, does it? You can't always tell from the outside which are the bad apples." She cut the apple in half. "See? Look, Sister, it's absolutely fine inside. Now, here's one that looks fine on the outside. Ooh, but inside it's all wormy." "Yuck," said Sister. "What's up?" said Brother. "It's a bad apple," explained Sister. "Double yuck," said Brother. "Hey, I'm going to the meadow to fly my new pusher plane. You want to come?" "Sure," said Sister. "I can pick some wildflowers." She felt much better now, more like her old friendly self. The pusher plane was a great success. and the cubs were about to head home when someone drove onto the meadow with a big, beautiful orange and green model plane. "Wait," said Brother, "I want to watch. That's a radio control job." Sister went back to picking wildflowers, but before she knew it, Brother was talking to that stranger. For that's what he was, a stranger. Because no matter how big and beautiful his radio-controlled plane was, he was still a stranger. So Sister dropped her wildflowers and ran over to them. "I'm going to send it up and follow in the car," the stranger was just saying to Brother. "You want to come along?" "Wow," said Brother. And he would have gone if Sister hadn't grabbed him by the arm and said, "Don't you dare." Ooh, she's smart. The stranger drove off following his airplane, and Sister ran home shouting, "Brother talked to a stranger! Brother talked to a stranger!" "But Papa, Mama, it was a big orange and green radio-controlled plane," said Brother. "It doesn't matter," said Papa. "We have rules about strangers in this house, and they're important." "We have rules about tattletales too," said Brother, giving Sister a nasty look. "Sister wasn't tattling," said Mama. "Tattling is telling just to be mean," she explained. "And Sister was telling because she was worried and she loves you." "Do you think that man was a bad apple?" asked Brother. "Probably not," said Mama. "That's right," said Sister. "Most folks are friendly and nice and wouldn't hurt a fly. But you have to be careful, just in case." "Speaking of apples," said Mama, "how about we have some of the applesauce I just made?" As they sat having a dish of Mama's delicious applesauce, Brother and Sister thought about what they had learned that day. There was quite a lot to think about. For Brother and Sister's rules for cubs, turn the page and have a look. Brother and Sister's Bears rules for cubs. Rule number 1, never talk to a stranger. Rule number 2, never take candy or other gifts from a stranger. Rule number 3, never ever go anywhere with a stranger. Number 4, don't keep secrets from your parents, especially if someone asks you to, because good, friendly adults would never want you to keep a secret from your mom and dad. Rule number 5, your body is your personal property and no one else's business but yours, especially your private parts. When you're little, of course your mom or dad may help you in the bath or in the bathroom, and your doctor is in the body business, so she or he will have to examine you from time to time, even when you're not so little anymore, but no one else. And number 6, use your common sense. Go with your gut. We can't have rules for everything. Common sense is what helps keep us safe and tells us what to do in situations that we don't know the rules for. If it feels wrong, it is wrong. Go, say no, and tell someone you trust. The end. That's all for today, boys and girls. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you again next time.